We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Welcome students to this online video lecture on network management and services. As a part of this chapter of network management and services, we will see what is the importance of network management, what is network management, and then which are the functionalities of the network management system, as well as also we will see which protocol which is the largely used in the internet for doing the task of network management. So in this video lecture we will see the introduction to network management, that is about what is network management and what is its importance. So beginning about the network management, first I would like to define the term network management. So obvious question is, what is network management? So we can define network management like that network management is the activity of monitoring, testing, configuring and troubleshooting the various network components. But the purpose of doing all this activity like monitoring, testing, configuring and troubleshooting the variety of network components to achieve certain requirements, and that requirements are defined by the organization, or maybe you can broadly say internet. And what are these requirements? So this requirement is all about how can we have the smooth and efficient operation of the network. So this is what our requirement, that the network should be operated smoothly and also in the efficient manner. And in order to carry out this all activities smoothly and guaranteeing the minimum kinds of throughput, we must monitor the network, we must test the network, we must configure the network in such a way that problem does not arise, and also if problem arise, then we should combat that problem or we should troubleshoot that problem. So this is a activity which is a collective activity in the sense that the part of network management activity is involving not only software, it involves hardware also as well as the human also. So human is nothing but here network administrator. So first question arises that when we incorporate any kinds of protocols, because protocol is basically set of rules and regulations, then the protocol should be put at what layer? So here you can see in the slide that some of the WAN, that is wide area networks, incorporate management protocols in their link level protocols for efficient control. So that means somehow at the second layer protocol. So in case of malfunctioning of any packet switch network, or we can say any devices of that network, then administrator can direct nearest switch to send special some control packet to the faulty switch. So that means wherever fault has occurred, and some nearest node will take the responsibility and send some control packets to that. And this special control packets causes this faulty switch to stop its normal operation, to defer its normal operation and reply to the query of the network administrator. So there are certain tasks, and these tasks are somehow simpler to understand, that if that particular device is malfunctioning, the easiest task, you restart that device or restart that switch, and then check and test communication interfaces, or somehow you try to modify the routes, examine or change the routes and you can ask that node to identify and correct the issues. So this is what we were thinking about the management protocols which is working at the link layer. However, if we think about network management protocol, or we can say software which is operating at the application level, then there are certain advantages obviously we get, because now it is operating at the application layer. So the protocols can be designed without taking into account the underlying network hardware. So this is the first biggest we can say advantage, that without thinking about the underlying network hardware, because otherwise there are certain issues when you are dealing with link layer software, or we can say the network management activities happening at the link layer. One set of protocols can be used for all networks, because you are at the application layer. So all the data link layer level devices, it becomes independent. Since the protocols can be designed without taking into account the hardware on the managed machine, same protocol can be used for all managed devices. So this is an important advantage. Having a single set of management protocol implies standardization of network, because you are at the topmost layer. You are trying to define a software, trying to design a software which is at the top layer. So there are obvious advantages of that. Network management software allows a manager to control the device from anywhere in the network, and system of the manager does not need to be attached directly to the device. Why this is becoming? Because your protocol has been put at the top layer of the TCP/IP architecture, where top layer of the TCP/IP architecture is the application layer. So because of being at the application layer, it has been independent of the network, varieties of networks. That could be anything, ATM, frame relay, or any kinds of networks, or local area networks. Second thing, it has been, because of this, it has been also independent of the various devices which are being encountered at the data link layer. Also, the third advantage, because of at the application layer, the administrator can sit at any place in the world, but only attached to the device, or we can say it is controlling from the application layer. So that is what the very biggest advantage of management protocols to be operating at the application layer. And that's why with this thought, the SNMP has been designed, that is Simple Network Management Protocol, which is the very important protocol which we will explore in the later part of the chapter, or we can say at last part of this chapter. So how does this network management architecture looks? Because when we think about the network management, so network management involves software, hardware, as well as the intervention of the human being. So that is nothing but network administrator. So first, if we think about the network management architecture, then this architecture is involving two major components, and that is the manager and agent. So these are the two major components, manager and agents. So network manager and network agent. So managed devices such as routers run server software that helps them to alert the manager when they identify problem. So if alert is received by the manager, it may execute the following actions. So this is very simple to understand, that it is nothing but it's a client server kinds of approach. Later we will see in the diagram also. So managed devices like routers run server softwares, and this kinds of softwares will perform the task of alerting the manager that when they identify any kinds of problem. And whenever alert is received by the manager, it can execute any one of the following actions, like say operator notification, event logging, system shutdown, automatic attempts at system repair. So notification, operator notification. So this is one kind of notification in terms of variables, which somehow we will see in some small portion in our SNMP. So operator notification, event logging. So what kinds of actually event has happened which has caused the system to shut down. So that is also being logged. So everything is getting logged. The purpose of log is very essential for management of network. System shutdown. So this is another action if the problem is very severe and you do not want that problem to percolate over the entire network or to spread over the entire network, just like epidemic, or we can say virus infection which is causing the many system to shut down, then immediate you make that system shut down such that that spread can be prevented. Then automatic attempts at system repair. So this is another attempt that if system is malfunctioning, you shut down the system and then again restart and trying to recover the or we can say system recovery, or you are executing this task of system recovery. So how system recovery happens? Probably you may be knowing that earlier checkpoint is being saved and system will try to get that earlier checkpoint, and that is what how the system is getting recovered. So network management architecture, when you look at this, it is basically client server kinds of approach where this manager is there, and this manager is this software is somehow at some machine which is also as a part of internet, or you can say connected to internet. There are many other devices which is, or you can say this is the managed devices, device 1, device 2, device 3. So all these devices are having their peculiar software. Okay, so this is agent 1, agent 2. So this is existing over these devices. From this devices, manager can acquire the information about the status of this network. So the task of this agent is just to collect the information and passing it on the manager station. So that was what manager can ask router to test the value of reboot counter to check when it has to reboot itself. Manager can check the values of variables either periodically or when fault occurs. What are these variables? We will see in SNMP protocol. So there are certain system or network variables are there for which the manager can raise the query. Okay, give me the value of this, or give me the status of this variables. And that's what agent is passing the values of that variables or the status of that variables to the managers. So agents in the managed device reply to the notification messages, and run server software compiles the information, and ultimately this all information is passed to the manager. But in between, the very important thing is about network management protocol, and that is what this is the very important interface between which works well between this manager and agent devices. Okay, or we can say agent software. So what is the functionality of network management system? So earlier I told you about what is network management system. So it is the activity of monitoring, testing, configuring as well as troubleshooting of the various network components, and the purpose is to maintain the requirements well inside the system, or we can say to maintain the health of the entire network in very well condition. It should never be compromised. So this is what the very important achievement, or we can say very important objective of the network management system. So there are 5 major functionalities which are categorized like this: configuration management, fault management, performance management, security management, accounting management. So shortly we will see all this. So first let's see configuration management. So what is the aim? Is to observe the configuration information of the network components. So what is the major crux inside this configuration management? So already we are aware that network is a collection of varieties of devices. So now when we say variety of devices, that means varieties of hardwares are there. And also we are aware about that hardware also keep changing, okay, as the technology progresses. So when the newer hardwares are augmented, that newer hardware requires the appropriate software for running that hardware. So when newer softwares over this newer hardwares are getting installed, the many times the incompatibility of software arises. Many times incompatibility to hardware arises. So these kinds of problems are related with the problems of configuration. So this configuration management system has to observe and also keep track and managing functions of different versions of software and hardware in the network. So just like as an example, you are incorporating or you are installing new switch inside your network, or new router inside the network. One router is of the Cisco router, another router vendor is somewhere another company. So when they communicate with each other, there should not be any kinds of incompatibility of the hardware as well as incompatibility of the software, because Cisco runs its own operating system like that. So these are the typical issues which configuration management has to take care. So there are also, it has to deal with the problems of various versioning. So you are clear about this versioning, because there are softwares which are getting updated, then they have regularly they keep track of this software by regularly updating the version of the software. So this is very important, configuration management. Then fault management. So fault management is to identify network problems and notifying to the user. So what is the problem if you do not identify the fault, and if you fail to recover the fault? Then faults can cause shutdown or degradation of the network performance. So it can cause the entire system to shut down, or and eventually your network performance will degrade. So determining the symptoms, separating the problem, fixing the problem, testing the solution, recording the detection and resolution of the problem. So this is very important for future purpose, because once any problem has been detected, then it's very necessary that how you have solved that problem. So entire that log has to be maintained, that this is the solution which you have done for this kinds of problems. So in near future, if any such similar problem arises, you can apply the same kinds of activity which earlier you have done in order to solve that fault. Performance management aims to evaluate and provide different features of network performance so that inter-network performance can be maintained at a satisfactory level. And very important parameter factors are throughput, response time, and line utilization. So very important when we are dealing with the network. Throughput, it's nothing but the efficiency of the network. So how many packets you have served, okay, over some fraction of a second. So that is network efficiency. Response time, how do you quickly you respond to the query of the user, okay. So that is also another very important. And the utilization, so how you are effectively utilizing the resources. For a network, the resource is also bandwidth, so how your effectively bandwidth is utilized. So when you say performance, so performance can be measured in any terms of this throughput, response time, or resource utilization. But it involves many important steps. Data is collected on the basis of variables of interest to the administrator. Administrator, that means this is the involvement of the human. And data is collected on the basis of variables. Variables, as I have discussed earlier, that we will also see in simple network management protocol. So varieties of variables are there. Data is examined periodically to check whether the managed devices are functioning normally. So that means even there is no problem, but at periodic time you have to check whether your system, or you can say network, is performing at satisfactory level or not. That means whether its throughput is very well being delivered, whether it is response time is under your control, and also resource utilization is good. So everything is in healthy condition. Suitable performance thresholds are decided for each important variable. Exceeding this threshold specify network problem that needs to be resolved. So as an administrator, or as a good administrator, you have to be very careful about deciding the threshold of each important variable. And if something goes beyond the threshold, then that is alarming situation. So performance management system can be either reactive or proactive. So in reactive management, that means manager continuously keep observation about the performance of the variables, or we can say overall performance of the network. And as soon as the threshold is crossed, that means as soon as some variable has crossed the threshold, then alert is generated, and it is forwarded to the management system, or even the manager. Manager will start taking the necessary action to solve that problem. In proactive management, network simulation is applied to plan how network will influence the performance metric. So this is another special kinds of plan, that is simulation is being carried out, and then this how network gets influence, how network will influence this performance. So when you are trying to in proactive, that means you, before any problem arises, you are trying to identify the performance of the network. If any such problem happens, then how network would try to settle down that problem. So that is proactive action. Accounting management, Another very important about this is it is the control users access to network resources through charges. Under accounting management, individual users, department, divisions, or even projects are charged for the services they receive from the network. This is important in the terms of, because how the revenue model is getting generated from this network. The users which are using the network resources, then how long they have used the resources and how they should be charged. So charging does not necessarily means here cash transfers. It may mean debiting the departments or divisions for budgeting purpose. Not every time in terms of cash or like that. So that means how much resource that particular user has utilized. So you can also keep watch on that. So organizations use this accounting management system for the following reasons, and which are that it prevents user from monopolizing the limited network resources. That means it should not happen that only one user is excessively using the bandwidth of the organization. So generally they also put some upper limit of bandwidth usage. That means this many megabytes or this many gigabytes of data that users can use over a certain period of time or over a day or like that. So that means when that usage exceeds that bandwidth usage, so they can stop the discharging that service to that user. It prevents user from using the system inefficiently. Yes, the ultimate goal of this objective is also this, that it should not use the system in inefficient way, because one user is excessively using the bandwidth, and because of that another user is not getting enough time or enough resource to do its own her or his own work. So network management can do short and long term planning based on the demand of the network usage. Security management, so this refers to the process of making the network secure. Very important when we talk about network security, this access control. How do you provide the access control mechanism to the user? So end user should be given what types of access mechanism. So there is a clear control over the accessing mechanism for the user. So every user is not granted all kinds of permissions to utilize certain resources. So that is the access control. Authentication, that means there should be a genuine way for the system to authenticate the user. So ultimately when you are logging into the network, the user is supplying its username and password. So by matching the password, actually system authenticates that user to use the system resources. So this means system knows this is the genuine user. Confidentiality, that means for example the user is given a file which is password protected. So that means the person who knows that password can only open that file, so that is also nothing but you can call privacy. So confidentiality is nothing but that privacy parameter. So what does it protect? It protects the contents of that file. Integrity, that means whenever a user open the particular file and then modify the contents of the file, then there should be a genuine way that someone has modified this file. So that is a concept of integrity to be maintained. Integrity is relating with creation of hash, but that is a part of the entire security subject. But you can simply understand integrity means here the system has should have a way to find out whether the file is tampered or not. Tampered, that means the contents of the file is altered or not. If the content of the file is altered, then the receiver should have a genuine way of finding, yes, that this file is altered, so I can no longer use this file. So that is the concept of integrity. Non-repudiation is about let me explain with an example. For example, sender is sending one file to the receiver, then receiver should have a genuine way, sender should have a genuine way to know that and later on receiver claims that no such file has been sent to me, then sender should have a way to tell the receiver, yes, I have sent this file. So that means sender should have a receipt. Similar at the receiver end, receiver should have also the genuine way that at later time, if sender tells that no, I have not sent any such file to you, then receiver should have the proof to show the sender that this file was sent by you on this particular time or on this particular timestamp. So that is what the non-repudiation. So this is about the security management. So this is what we have seen about the basics of network management, in which we have seen what is network management and why it is important, and which are its 5 important types, or we can the functionality of the network management. So fault management, security management, accounting management, performance management, and configuration management. So all this which we have seen, this is the important part of the entire network management service. So I think I hope you understood this basics of the network management, and which is much more theoretical, and later part of this network management, which is the very well known and largely used protocol for management of the network also over the internet, that is SNMP, which we will see in our next video. Thank you for listening this video.